going to do a quick how-to video, how to drill and tap into metal. Go get yourself a tap and die set. They come in many flavors. This is mine. This is a great one just to get started. It'll last for your small projects and that sort of thing. My producer said I need a script. So to determine what tap you're going to use, you need to know what size thing you're going to be screwing in there. You need to know the hole size and the thread type, thread size. So the tap and die sets usually come with some sort of a little gauge to check the thread type. Here's a little doofer that comes in the tap and die set, so you can check your thread type of that. Anyway, figure out what size thread you need, what size hole you need. Here's a connecting rod. Today I'm gonna make a like a beer tap handle, you know what I mean, out of this connecting rod. Here we go. Ooh yeah. Okay, here we go. So here's my tap handle. What will be a tap handle. You got your beer tap here, okay? So if I were to take my gauge here, and I would find out that it's SAE 16 count threads. Just covering all the bases here for the basics. Tap, die. It's got, says 3H-16 on there. That's the size hole I want to thread down into the bottom of the tap handle. This die, let's say if I wanted to make this, get some rod of the correct size, and I could go ahead and put threads on the outside of that. Okie doke. Alright, so I got the center marked here. So this is a center punch. You want to make sure that you punch a dimple into the metal right where you want the center of that hole to be. Right there. Gucci Mane. Yeah, so you want to put a little dimple in there so that your drill bit centers into that little dimple, so it doesn't walk all around on you. You know what I mean? You don't want your drill bit walking around on you. Nobody wants that. All right, we got the old Shopsmith set up here. Go ahead and tilt this thing up. Oh yeah. If you don't know what a Shopsmith is, then you need to check out, first of all, my Shopsmith video. I plan to do many, so check them out. And whether you're doing like carpentry or metal work or whatever, you need to get a Shopsmith. Alright, so before you start drilling, you gotta know what size holes you need to make for the tap. So there'll be some sort of a chart either on your tap and die set, or you can Google it or whatever. I know for a 3/8 threaded hole, I need to drill out a 5/16 hole to tap. Tap it in. So we got the drill press set up here on the Shopsmith. So we want to make sure that whatever your piece is secure and oriented correctly, okay? I know we're not doing rocket surgery here, but I still want all my work to be finished and nice and not all goofy and warbly. Do not ever try to do one of these jobbers where you're holding it with your hand. Don't do that. Like, that's a sweet way to lose a finger. Definitely mounted advice. And if you're using a hand drill, right, you don't have a drill press, you're using a hand drill to do this, don't be like holding it here and like drilling it here, like right towards your mommy daddy button. You know what I'm saying? That's a horrible idea.
I'm tied in that.
Em's in here making a purse. Okay. Alright, so the next thing, if you don't have one of these, you know, around a shop, this is cheap. It's a digital angle gauge, right? Like, it just like measures angles from gravity and stuff and science and math. These are cheap and are awesome because you can do this. We're gonna put our bit in there. We're gonna put our thing down here, whatever you're working on. So we can go like this, and then tilt this to where it's nice and this end, okay? So, I'm gonna do that. All right, let's look at this. Yep, okay. Oh yeah, we're Gucci. So we're gonna start with a small pilot hole here with this 1/8 bit, okay? Just to get our drilling axis set. And then we'll step it up to the 5/16 bit, which will then track nice and straight down that pilot hole. Get it nice and centered. All right, so we'll tighten this puppy down. Make sure it's gonna be right on the money. So most drill bits are designed to operate at about 5 to 600 RPM, especially if you're drilling steel. You wanna make sure that you've got some sort of lubricant for the bit, which is this here. I just use motor oil. The best, most correct thing that you can use is actual cutting oil. Heard of dish soap, penetrating oil. I think the gist is you can use whatever you want, just don't go in dry. Also, don't put a bunch of down pressure on the bit. Just put enough that it starts cutting and let it do its thing. Putting down pressure on the bit is a sure way to smoke your bit. The bit isn't grinding down through the metal, it's cutting it, so just let the bit do the work. Put a little lubrication on there, nice and moist. Yeah!
Yeah, buddy!
Alright, little pilot hole in there. Swap this bit out, step it right up to the 5/16 there. If you've got like an excessive difference between a little pilot hole and whatever ginormous hole you're trying to drill, step it up at a slower rate. Use a couple intermediate bits. Definitely need to make a pilot hole. You do not want a giant jacked up mess on the top because your first bit was walking all over the place. Same thing, little lube on there of your choice. Alright, so I don't know if you can see this. The end of this bit is wobbling around a little bit. If you see that, you only got one chance to correct it, and it's before you start drilling, so fix it now. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go ahead and actually lower the table here a little bit so that the chuck is only grabbing the flat part of the shank. If you stick it in there too far, and it's not gonna stay straight. Now we'll be good to go. Let's make sure that that's... Oh yeah, much better. Got that drilled down in there. I think that my crappy bits probably need to be sharpened because you can tell it's kind of chipping, not carving like the like you saw the pilot bit do. Okay, so that's one way to tell how well your bits are. Holes are drilled. So the hole is drilled here. Get your tap into the little handle. Make sure there aren't already like a bunch of chips in your tap. Okay, make sure your tap's all nice and clear. And what you want to do is make sure that this is all lubed up again. Okay, so lube some up down the hole there. Lube the end of your tap. Okay. Put it onto the top of the hole that you drilled and start turning clockwise, right? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Put a little down pressure on there so that it starts to grab. Okay, and when it starts to grab right there, take a look and make sure your orientation is nice, okay? You want to make sure it's nice on your x-axis, your y-axis, okay? Because once you start going, boom, you're making the top of the threads, okay? So kind of commit, okay? Get a turn out of the way, and then from here, you want to go one turn clockwise, about a quarter turn counterclockwise, and keep just easing your way around, clearing the chips out of the way as you go. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And then just keep on going until you either reach the depth that you want, or if you break through the other side, like in my case right here. Okay? So here we go. Make sure, you're feeling out your work. Like, if you're turning it and it's binding up really good, you may not get a full turn. Right now, I'm only getting little eighth turns, maybe quarter turns before I'm backing it up to clear those chips out of there. It's gonna depend on the quality of the bit you use and several other things, obviously, like the hardness of the metal, but keep a feel for your work, and if you're only getting a quarter turn before you gotta back it out, don't snap your bit off. If there's a ton of resistance, then listen to it, you know what I mean? So, full disclosure, I swapped over to the old vice grip trick, holding the bit with some vice grips. Give me a little extra leverage, okay? The tool that comes with it's great, but this is one of the bigger bits in the set, and we're tapping into hardened steel. I mean, this is a forged connecting rod, so pretty tough metal. I tapped all the way down into that, doing the old back and forth trick all the way down, clearing out the chips. And then what you want to do is make sure that you go all the way down in there and run all the threads that you can through there. The reason being is the threads that are towards the base of the tap are going to be sharper than the cutting threads that are at the bottom. So the result is going to be sharper, more precise threads by running the best threads you can down in there. Cool. Another little thing that's nice to just keep around, a little wire brush, so that when you're going down in there, you can just kind of brush the chips off. If you're getting tons of chips down in there, just back it out, clean this thing off, put some more lube on there, and keep on keeping on. So once you've run that all the way through, the next thing you might want to do, if you want to do good work, is get rid of the little burrs that are on the top of this thing. Okay, when that tap goes down into the metal and tries to grab it to start cutting those threads, it's going to kind of pull some of the metal up, and it's going to kind of make a burr at the top and a little deformity. Okay, so what you can do to remedy that is get yourself a bit that's significantly bigger than the size of the hole that you just put threads into, and just run it along the top. Okay, just by hand. You don't have to put a bunch of pressure on it or anything like that. You can even put it in a drill, just lightly let it ride on the top of that, okay? But what you're doing is you're putting a little chamfer on the edge of that. You're taking those burrs off so that, A, you don't catch some skin on there. That sucks. But also, let's say you're tightening down two flat surfaces together and you want them to be nice and flush, okay? These two surfaces are going to be able to mate precisely flush against each other when you've gotten rid of that little deformity, okay? So it's also about doing really good precision work. And it's easy. I mean, come on, it's just a little drill bit. Like, yeah, it's just a tap handle, but like, be a baller and like finish your work. Like, just... So there you go, boom. We drilled it out, tapped it out, put a little chamfer on the edge there, and now this thing is mounted, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, is this is sitting so nice and flush against there. That's what you want. There you go, tap and die set, super sweet to have. Another thing you can do with the tap and die set, of course, would be just to chase threads. Threads are all mashed up. You take your tap or your die and chase those threads, boom, you're good to go, you're rock and rolling again. Just made a sweet tap handle, no big deal, you know what I mean? Just like that. Hit me with another brew, son. Psh. Whatever. Tap and die set, good to have. Drilling and tapping basics, okay? Just thought somebody out there might appreciate start to finish. How do I make threads in something, you know, from start to finish? And a couple tips along the way there. Subscribe, comment below, maybe hit the like button, maybe. See ya!